the nature of your emergency?
Good morning, police, fire, military, and veterans. And to everybody who's listening in on the Tactical Living podcast, Matthew, you should definitely be in bed, but thank you for staying awake to hang out with us this morning. I don't want to forget that we're doing a giveaway because I always seem to forget that, but I have a 15-liter tactical lunchbox to whoever comments the most on this thread within the next 24 hours. So if you guys have any questions, either while we're live or later on, then just drop them down below and we'll make sure that we address them. We have a really cool guest on today. I'm going to try to ask him some questions that I haven't heard other hosts asks him, and his name is Rich Brown. Rich, thank you so much for joining us on today's show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're in Virginia?
I am.
So it's probably a lot colder than here in Southern California.
Yeah, I don't bother. I was designed for this weather. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, but I've got quite a bit of Viking heritage. So I walk around in board shorts and flip-flops in January. It's fine.
Good morning. Good morning. Clint said only the weak sleep. No, but you definitely need your sleep. You get cranky anytime that we talk when you don't sleep. I'm just saying. So you are the co-founder of Honor Bound Fit and the event director of GUIDON22. So tell us a little bit about your military background first.
Sure. Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school on 9/11. 4 days after high school graduation, I shipped off for boot camp. Spent 8 years in the Marine Corps spent 3.5 with 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines doing Iraq and Afghanistan with them, and then taught at the basic school for 4.5 years. Really loved teaching. Really enjoyed it. I would have probably made a career out of the Marine Corps, but I was diagnosed with traumatic brain injury, and they said, yeah, you may be good at this, but you're not going to be good at it for long, and your brain's going to hold you back. So we're going to tell you can't lead troops in combat anymore, which was a huge kick to the ego, to the gut. But it was probably the right decision for everybody involved. So I got out of the Marine Corps in 2012. I've been running private security companies and recently helped my friend pursue his dream of opening a gym.
Nice. No, you guys need to stop arguing over sleep because I think I'm correct here. If it's okay to ask, because I didn't hear you mention this on any of the other shows, but what happened?
January 23rd, 2007, I was supervising Iraqi police officers at a checkpoint, and a 13-year-old boy drove his grandfather's truck up to our checkpoint, loaded down with artillery rounds and explosives, and threw me about 15 feet through the air and seriously injured the Iraqi police officers. One of them made it, the other one didn't. But I'd played football for 5 years, wrestled for 7. I've been teaching the Marine Corps martial arts program for like 7 years. So at the time, it was like, oh, you've had a concussion, right? Because I've done that test for, how's your head, dozens and dozens of times. And so at the time, they're like, yeah, it's just a mild concussion. Turns out it was a little more significant.
What was that like for you then, having this kind of plan in mind and then being told that information and plans obviously changed?
Yeah, it was a gut check. I come to terms with it pretty quickly. I don't dwell on things, and I'm really good at accepting what I can't influence, right? And so I almost immediately started thinking back to, prior to 9/11, I'd read Rich Dad Poor Dad and had all these ideas about, owning the printing machine instead of being a part of the machine. And at the time I was a bouncer here in Virginia, and started getting approached by bar owners and managers about, hey, I'd like you to come, lead my security team at my bar. And so I did that for a while. And eventually I said, I'm not ready to leave the bar I'm at now, but I can hire, train, manage, and schedule your security guys from a distance, and I'll come by and quality check them every once in a while. So that turned into a full-on business in 2010. Started with just nightclub security and turned into eventually government contracting and executive protection and all the things.
So it's pretty cool because you don't really hear a lot of stories of people who are actively in the military and they're literally like paving the path for their transition out. It's usually something that's more complicated once you finally do get out. So was that something that you planned, or did that kind of just fall into your lap?
Well, it just kind of came with accepting the changes that were coming at me, right? So at the time, it was just a thing to do and to make some money on the side. But as we started in I think it was May of 2010, and by the end of the year, we had transitioned from just nightclub security to also doing retail. And then we were approached by a government contractor who wanted us to provide security to the top secret research lab. And it just, I mean, within 4 years, we were doing $1 million in sales. So yeah, one of my favorite compliments when I EAS'd was that, you know, most Marines, when they get out, are going to job fairs looking for their next life and what they're going to do. And I went to a job fair the day after my EAS to set up a table to hire other veterans. So I'm very fortunate.
That's really cool. Went 28 hours with no sleep over the weekend. Yeah, that's crazy, Rich. That it's incredible that you were able to survive that. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Was it planned? I think you're talking about the sleep there. So talk to us a little bit about, now you had that transition. So what happened from that transition to what you're doing now?
Which transition? Because there's been several.
Mainly getting out of the Marines and then deciding to kind of go a little bit more all in with that.
Yeah. So like I said, within 4 years, we were doing $1 million in sales. So by the time I EAS 2 years after I had started the first company, you know, it was the money was there, right? I didn't need my Marine Corps income to survive. And so the transition was very easy, left seat, right seat, in terms of, you know, can I make this work to make a living out of it? It was already there. And then so that from there, it just became growth and learning the things I didn't know, and, you know, going from there.
How did the gym come into play?
So a good friend of mine, a guy that I taught with at Quantico, had always dreamed of having his own CrossFit gym. He was a CrossFit certified coach, and he did some contracting after the military, got married, went overseas, did a bunch of contract work. Wife spent all the money. Wife turns in to be, you know, not the greatest person. And so, you know, you've heard that story before. And so when he started to go through that separation and divorce, he seemed to be struggling with purpose and identity and what am I going to do next? And so I just said, you know, when are we going to open your gym? And at first it was kind of like hemming and hawing, and I don't know, you know, maybe we could do it within a year. And so, well, why couldn't we do it by the 4th of July? And then he ran into a manager at the local Black Rifle Coffee, and he was wearing his CrossFit hoodie. And she said, oh, you know, we'd love to have you guys here for this event we're doing, et cetera, et cetera. He says, well, you know, I don't own this gym, and I'm not even with them anymore, but I'm starting a gym. And so it went from, could we do it by 4th of July to let's do it on Memorial Day. And so we opened our gym. It was technically, you know, working out in parking lots, but we started on Memorial Day of 2024 in the parking lot of the Black Rifle Coffee.
That's really cool. Like not needing all of the entire resources of like a physical gym, and just like using what you have to get started. Like that's the smartest way to do it. Matthew's asking, how big is your security team?
I have about 30 personnel right now, mostly executive protection, some unarmed and armed guards.
Nice. And I know on here you talk about the Stockdale paradox. So what is that?
So Admiral Stockdale was one of the Vietnam veterans who was in captivity for an immense amount of time. He eventually ran as vice president with another candidate. I think it was Ross Perot or something like that. But he was a POW in Vietnam for a very long time. And he explained why he was able to not only live through it himself, but bring a lot of people with him. And that was the fact that he wasn't the guy who was always, you know, rainbows and sunshine. And a lot of people were saying, you know, we're going to be out of here by Christmas, and we're going to be out of here by New Year's, and we're going to be out of here by this date. And it was always just trying to stay positive and think for the best possible outcome. And his thing was like, no, don't just hope for the best possible outcome. You have to be able to hold two ideas equally true. And one is accepting the terrible situation that you're in, accepting the reality of it, while also knowing that you're going to get through it. And that's the paradox.
Nice. Is that something that you guys bring into your gym, or maybe even into your security business?
Less the security business, more so within the gym. We have 14 core values that we have up on our wall in the gym. And they vary, right? But one of them is, the obstacle is the way, and that growth is found in struggling. And that's one of the ways that we explain that core value is through the Stockdale paradox.
Nice. CrossFit is awesome and hard as well. Yeah, I know that you know that that's true. I forgot to ask you what inspired you to even. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just say, just to be clear, we're not a CrossFit gym. We didn't go through that whole process. His background is in CrossFit. A lot of our workouts look like CrossFit because of his background and my background. But I think the biggest difference between Honor Bound Fit and a CrossFit gym is not in the equipment we use or the programming. It's in the intent, right? So CrossFit is their whole goal is to try to create elite athletes. Our goal is to create great grandparents who can roll around and play with their great grandchildren in the grass and live a healthy life in older age. And so our mission is much different. Some of the application looks similar, but we're not doing a lot of like the overhead lifting type stuff that leads to the shoulder blowouts and that kind of thing.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying that. Now I know that you had the gym, but then somehow rucking got involved. So how did that happen?
Yeah, well, podcasts, right? So I listened to a bunch of podcasts, and I found myself coming back to Michael Easter a lot. He's a big proponent of rucking. And so I wanted to introduce rucking to our gym members as a way of getting a good workout outside of the gym. And so we started hosting these rucking events and planning these rucks around town. And, if it's not measurable, what are you doing it for? And so we started working up towards 22 miles in November. And at first, it was 2024. We did November 22nd, 22 miles, 22 pounds for veteran suicide prevention, right? And that over the years has evolved into this event called GUIDON22. It's still 22 miles, 22 pounds. Date varies. We do it the Saturday before Thanksgiving every year. But now it's for veteran and first responder suicide prevention. I think of veterans and first responders as like the away team and the home team. I wouldn't have deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan without knowing that my family was safe and somebody was here to take care of them, right? So I think we're all just kind of part of the same team. We deal with a lot of the same struggles, right? So I try to address both.
I've never heard anybody put it that way. And I love that you did, because sometimes people want to compare or measure, and I don't think that one is more important than the other. Both are incredibly necessary and valuable. And so I really like that you're doing that. Now, for someone who isn't familiar with the rucking process, or maybe they've never done it before, first of all, do you let people who are brand new to it come in to be able to join?
Oh, absolutely.
And what is that process like?
Yeah, so we quickly became fanboys of rucking. It's a great fitness tool. It's better for you than running, right? A lot of people, it blows my mind every time I talk to somebody about rucking, and they're like, "Well, I can't do it for, it sounds like a lot, and I got this marathon coming up." And I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?" You're much less injury prone than running when you're rucking. It's walking with a weighted backpack, right, or a weighted vest. It's intentionally putting weight on your body and going for a walk. You get into zone 2 cardio faster than running. You maintain it longer and easier. And it's a social thing. You can walk and talk to people and have a good time. We try to keep a 3 mile an hour pace most of the year. And it's just a good time.
Yeah, so we have a lot of comments going on right now. Love the Rucks for 22. Sounds like an awesome company. I love that concept. Away team military. Yeah, exactly. But something that stuck out here is Jim says that he wishes that he could do a ruck. So let's say that you have somebody that wants to be involved for the emotional element of things and the supportive and kind of community. But physically, what if they're hampered? Is there a way for people to still be able to be involved?
You say physically hampered, right? It's an individual basis, and whatever your limitation is, we try to find a way to work around it, et cetera. We've had people over the years who are amputees who've rucked with us. We've had people who, we'll push a wheelchair. If you want to come along with us, we want to have you there. I'll just push you instead of carrying a pack. It's no different to me. The event itself, so the GUIDON22 has emerged into the GUIDON Foundation. It's its own nonprofit now. The gym still hosts it and organizes it, but it's led by the GUIDON Foundation, which is a nonprofit that seeks to end veteran and first responder suicide prevention in a number of ways. More than just the event, but the event itself, again, it's 22 miles, so 22 pounds. This year it'll be November 21st. If you're on the East Coast, please come to Virginia. Please come ruck with us. It's an amazing event. We stop every 3 miles, and so the first year, we stopped about every 3 miles, every hour, and I would read a story about a veteran or first responder who had taken their own life and how it affected their community and their family, et cetera. Last year, we stepped up our game and we invited families from around the country to come out and tell their own stories about their veteran that they had lost or their first responder that they had lost. We're going to do the same thing next year, and it's definitely become a part of the process. And there's so much catharsis in the pain, right? Rucking 22 miles with 22 pounds, eventually it hurts regardless of what physical shape you're in. But there's so much catharsis in that pain. And to be a part of that community and to experience it together, the feedback we get from it is incredible, right? People just, I've heard the word life-changing, right? So if you're on the East Coast, I hope you'll come join us. We had somebody fly out from San Francisco last year, so I'd say East Coast. But the reason I say East Coast is because next year, I think we're going to have an event in Texas on the same date, and we're going to try to do East Coast, West Coast, South, North, et cetera, as we grow. But right now, it's in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
That's really cool. So many ideas come up for me. I'm very business minded. And so even doing things like having an online marathon where people can donate and having live streams and people can watch. And like, there's so much that you could do with that. So that's really awesome. And yeah, Eric, tell your wife that you were definitely able to, and thank you for that smile. Need to do this every month. Absolutely true. Better heart health and mental health, solid speed. That's really great. I'm sure that it helps to heal mentally. Yeah. So can you think of any stories, Rich, like something that really sticks out about people going to this event, and maybe a story that you heard while it happened, or maybe afterwards, something that somebody shared with you about the impact?
I hesitate to tell other people's stories. I can give you the feedback. I can send you some links to some videos that people have posted about their experience and how they felt about it, et cetera. But no, I can't give you one specific experience. I can say, first of all, you said you do this every month. We don't do 22 miles every month, but we do progress throughout the year. So in March, we're going to do Ruck with Pups. So we're working with the local humane shelter, the local pounds, and we're going to bring dogs out that need to be walked, and we're going to take them for a 3-mile walk. Instead of carrying random weight in our backpacks or weight plates, we're going to stuff them with dog food and donate, 20 pounds of dog food per person that rucks. The month after that, we do a food bank ruck. And so we get people to put teams together of up to 10. And, it's a food drive like any other food drive. You go get food from people, you go to the store, you get food, whatever. If you want to donate it, you put it in a backpack and you have to walk it over the 3-mile course. And the team of 10 that donates the most pounds of food in the 12-hour window wins $1,000 and the trophy and bragging rights and all the things, right? And from there, we do a progression throughout the year. So we 6 miles, 9 miles, 12 miles, leading up to 22 miles in November. So we do ruck almost every month. We take December through February off because it's icy and we don't want to deal with those kind of risks. But we do events almost every month out of the year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interest from our people here in Texas. I may have to come when you do it in Texas. We do a game reserve hike once a month. We're at in Texas. Do you have any ideas where you might do it if you guys go to Texas?
Yeah, so we have a gentleman that we want to work with who's currently a major in the Marine Corps. He's on his way to Texas from the unit he's in now. He's probably going to be in the Fort Worth area. And, to me,
there
Texas,
you go, guys. That works out perfect for both of you.
To me, Texas is Texas, but I know that the difference between Fort Worth and Houston is measurable.
That's like saying California is California. The people in Southern California, like we are not like the Northern California people. Although people like my husband and I are not like people in California at all. So
I think that's true. Pretty much every state has the difference between rural and populated areas, et cetera. But to me, right, so Virginia Beach is Virginia Beach, even though there's 6 different, suburbs of Virginia Beach that are all different in their own ways and sometimes can take 2 to 3 hours to get between them. But for the purpose of going to an event, if I lived in Texas, I'd go to Fort Worth for this event.
We love the fur baby ruck idea. Come join us on the Texas Ruck. Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. Woo-hoo. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have to definitely let me know and maybe come back on when that happens because sure. I know that obviously you'd have a lot of interest. I'm in Illinois. I know there are rucks around here. Yeah, that's awesome. So I know we need to wrap this up soon, but I'm just wondering because in getting to work with the people that you do, and it seems like you've expanded and had so many different elements kind of be pulled together to be able to touch people in a different way, like including the dogs, for example. So what is it about all of this work that you're doing that has helped you maybe on an emotional level or on a personal level?
I think a big reason that veterans especially, right? So part of the things with the GUIDON Foundation and trying to address different communities, whether it be military or law enforcement or teenagers and why they're committing suicide, we're going to put together our own Venn diagram and figure out exactly where the experiences overlap, where the beliefs and so on, where they converge and how they differ, because you can't talk to a teenager the same way you talk to a veteran, and veterans and police officers have different experiences that lead them down that road, right? But I think one thing that we all share is, starting with the veterans, you leave military service, and while you're in the military, you are 100% celebrated. People love or hate cops. Most people love firefighters. Nobody gives a shit about EMTs, and I think that's one area of first responders that I think gets neglected because, like I said, nobody seems to give a shit, but these people are scraping brains off a pavement every day, and you think that doesn't affect them on a personal level, right? So to speak to the military community, when you get out of service, like I said, you're celebrated while you're in, and then you get out and you lose your tribe and you lose your purpose, and you really struggle to find identity. And if you don't do that quickly, you're going to start to spiral, right? If you don't find one of those two things almost immediately, tribe or purpose, and then hopefully both, you're going to spiral. And so, yeah, I keep myself really busy between two businesses and a nonprofit, but I try to find value and purpose in all of it, right? And so I don't spend a lot of time laying around not doing shit. I don't spend a whole lot of time, binge watching Netflix, et cetera, because I'm trying to find ways to be useful and to bring value to people so that I've never struggled with purpose, right? And for those people who do, that's our recommendation is be useful. The reason we call it the GUIDON Foundation, the military, Marine Corps, Army, we all use GUIDONs. Some law enforcement academies, some firefighter academies use GUIDONs at the academies. You don't see it as much at the individual departments, but it's one thing that's somewhat universal, and it represents both the community you're in and your identity and your purpose, right? When a commander does a change of command ceremony, they pass the GUIDON from one commander to the next, and it's that responsibility to each other. And so our message is, when you separate from the military, it's status quo is to just use your DD-214 as rolling papers and check out and play video games for the rest of your life. And it's fine to decompress, but at some point decompression has to end because it turns into isolation, right? And so don't isolate, don't check out from society. You need to go find your own purpose, your own cause to rally against, and pick up your GUIDON and start leading people. Because if the military has done anything, it's developed leaders. So go use that training to go lead people against whatever cause you can find in your community.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And Jen, you and Christy are amazing too. I have to stay busy, otherwise my anxiety gets crazy. So many people with PTSD and are triggered with mental health need care. We have tribes. Yes, absolutely, we do. So if somebody wants to get involved or to just stay on top of all of your updates or to maybe hear when you're going to Texas, how can they get a hold of you?
Honorboundfit.com, GUIDONFoundation.com, Instagram, Facebook, it's all the same. Honorbound Fit, no spaces, no periods. The GUIDON Foundation is very new. We have our first official board meeting this evening. So the website is published, but it's very much under construction. So give us a little bit of time to get that's part of it sorted out, but we'll start sharing anything and everything soon.
Oh, cool. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your story and for giving all of us another resource and more to look forward to, especially as you continue to grow and expand. Thank you to everybody who has engaged and joined us in the comments. If you have more questions for Rich, go ahead and drop them down below and I'll make sure that they get right over to him. Thank you so much, Rich.
Thank you.